And so my smackdown is about design isn't doing enough to show its value to business. And that's because design still isn't translating the value into business value and business language. I think too often we talk too much about the craft, the aesthetics and the empathy, while our leadership is focused on growth, risk, speed and results more. So, we so much showcase beautiful work, but we're not always making the right decisions to influence that, really.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Smithfield Executive Search podcast, Smithfield Smackdown. This is a podcast that explores the challenges and opportunities for leaders in tech, creative, and investor-backed businesses today. We try and have really thoughtful conversations with founders, creative leads, investors, executives. We dig into some important questions, but always with a focus on understanding the issues and finding some practical solutions. This is a space for honest dialogue. We like to offer insights that will inspire positive change and smarter leadership. I have got Julie Kennedy with me today. Me and Julie have knocked around for years together, I would say, at various community events, haven't we?
We certainly have, eh?
Can you remember the names of some of them?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I remember doing the ones at Capital One where we'd done the breakfast mornings jointly. They were really good.
Those were Future Heads recruitment events, weren't they? Leaders in Change. We used to knock around at UXPA. I missed those events, actually, and IXTA.
Yeah, I remember we hosted one with you when I was at the Daily Mail as well. It was World Accessibility Week, so we combined that with some really good speakers at that one.
Yeah. Community is really important in design, hasn't it? And I think a lot of the design community has grown up with a community that has been really resourceful.
Yeah, well, I think that's what I've always really liked about it. You've always got that community spirit with designers. And, I think we're naturally collaborative people who want to do good things and spark ideas off one another. So for me, I've had, it's being part of it really, isn't it? So, I've been keen to do that throughout my career from those really early days, as you said, like UXPA stuff and that, through to, speaking at events myself. I've been fortunate to speak at a number of huge events, the World Usability Congress is one of the best ones that springs to mind. Also today, being part of the Flux women's community that I've recently joined as well has been really valuable to me as well.
I'm really glad you do that because I hear that so often. There are not enough women on stage, or why aren't there enough women on stage? And I think you come from the same school as me, which is if you want to see it, you got to be it. And that requires us to take ourselves out of our comfort zone. But hopefully we're paving the way for other people to do the same.
I hope so. There's a younger generation of women out there thriving, I think, in the space.
And I just want to point out also, we've made lots of friends along the way, haven't we?
Certainly. We share lots of the same ones as well. Some have already been on this podcast with you as well.
Great. Okay. So let's get cracking. It would be really good for you to introduce yourself because I think you'll do a better job than me. And also, if you wouldn't mind sharing a few minutes about your journey into leadership and perhaps what your first real challenge was and what's been your journey since.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thanks, Pete, for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to this very much. So, I describe myself as a design leader and speaker because of my involvement in the industry as well. And my journey does go a long way back. It goes back to the 80s when I first joined as a junior designer at Yellow Pages many years ago. I actually studied fine art sculpture, and so I needed a job after that. And saw an ad for Yellow Pages and ended up joining them. And in those days, much to some shock horror of people listening, we were working on drawing boards with a parallel motion and rotary pens, sticking things down with cowl gum, sending out for typesetting. There was no undo button if you screwed things up either. And I think I realised then that I really liked that combination of not just designing, but engaging with people and also that organising. I've always been quite an organiser. Even as a child, I was, trying to organise my brother into doing things he probably didn't want to do. And so I think it's some sort of natural skills that I've had there and had the opportunity to really develop over the years. So yeah, I managed, had a really good career at Yellow Pages, taking me through into a leadership role, which resulted in me managing the Yale.com design team there. And I actually feel really grateful to Yellow Pages in many ways, because I think we talk quite a lot now about how people aren't really prepared for that step into leadership. But I remember attending a really good people management program there that ran over a week, and it really gave me good foundational skills that honestly I still draw on some of those today, about the psychology of people behavior.
Brilliant.
So I think that really did set me up for success. And I'm grateful for that. From there, I moved into probably one of the most important roles that are people still very interested in. I joined Amazon as their first
Wow.
UK designer. So it's because I had the experience of building a team at Yale, I was brought in for that reason. But I was a hands-on designer again for a while, and then built the UK
Wow.
Amazon team, and then went on to do the same for France and Germany in those early days. So that was a real pivotal thing in my career. And I guess such an eye-opener working globally as opposed to focusing
Right.
on the UK market as well. And worked with, again, fortunate to work with some incredible people there as well. From there, I moved into telcos, Free and Vodafone, developing. I realised for me to grow my skill set again, it was about learning mobile, what mobile was doing in that space at that
Mhm.
time, which was really important in the early 2000s. And then I moved on to Betfair. Again, another sort of quite pivotal moment in my career where I inherited a large, quite dysfunctional design team at the time, and really had the opportunity to turn that team around and bring it
How was it
together. And
dysfunctional?
well, they just weren't working together, really,
Right.
people. It was very siloed, again,
Mm.
I've experienced it numerous times, to be honest, but there it really wasn't joined up, and people weren't talking to one another. Even the work wasn't tracked properly. We also had a lot of contractors in. So I really changed the organizational structure to bring in some direct reports
Yeah.
into me, set that up, and brought in, all the rituals and stuff that we talk about today regarding regular design reviews, mentoring, coaching, and setting that team up for success, really. So everyone turned it around from, 50% contractor to all permanent roles over that period of time.
So slightly chaotic, and you used your organizational skills to kind of make it run a bit more smoothly.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that role very much. Then I moved into a very different environment at the Daily Mail, working there. Again, managed a smaller team, and got some good results there. From there, moved into finance at Capital One, back to a big team again. Again, cracking role at Capital One. The design was really valued, had the opportunity to work with sort of the US, where they had, a huge design team of, I think, about 600 people at the time, and got to really work with some amazing people there, such as Jesse James Garrett was part of that organisation at the time as well. So yeah, so again, I think just feel I've been very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time in my career as well.
Really interesting, isn't it? Because you probably never expected to do that when you were studying fine art.
No, who would have thought? I mean, I didn't even use a computer then.
Right. And so your career got more and more commercial actually as you moved along, and you worked globally and you worked across sectors. I think that's really interesting. I was also thinking for some of our younger listeners, we should probably explain what the Yellow Pages is.
Oh, I should, shouldn't
Because
I?
they
Yeah,
might not know. I mean,
yeah.
I remember using it to read stuff on high shelves for quite a while after when we got the internet. That's what mine was for. But before that, it was an essential part of every household.
Oh, it was because didn't have the internet. So you had to look in a huge phone directory, which was this big yellow book, and you had to find businesses in your area. So they were localized to different areas.
That's
And,
right.
and then you could phone up a plumber or electrician or a gardener or whoever you needed to talk to them and arrange an appointment to see if they could come and help you out, really.
Oh, they were simpler times in many ways.
They were, but obviously, if you needed a plumber in Devon, though, because say you had a property there as a second home, it was very difficult because you didn't have a copy of
Oh, of
that
course.
version of the Yellow Pages. So you were very enclosed in your region in that respect as well, very
Wow.
localized.
And so where did that first real challenge come from in your career?
Well, the first real challenge for me, I mean, I like I say, I feel that I quite easily went into leadership actually because I so enjoyed it. So I didn't really find it a challenge moving into that. But where I did really find challenges, and maybe it's quite a hard one to start this off so early in the conversation, but it was actually about managing redundancies and making
Mm,
people redundant. And I think it's one of the hardest parts of leadership for me, because, it's even when the decision is necessary, the business rationale behind it. It's
yeah.
really deeply personal because you're impacting someone's livelihood, their sense of security, and even their identity as well. So I think all you can do is make it as easy as possible, showing up with honesty, empathy, and respect for the people there.
Yeah, well, I think that's a really good takeaway, and I think you're not on your own. Like that's not just a you thing, and unless you're some sort of sadist, that's the worst part of our jobs, isn't it? When something
Yeah,
isn't working out. It's
yeah,
great.
yeah, you can't enjoy that. I mean, it's tough, because at the end
Yeah,
of the day, there's a human being that you're talking to and you're affecting. So yeah, I
yeah.
mean, one of the things that did help me, I think, with that B as well was really I trained when I was at Saint Gobain, which was my role before last, in the building manufacturing and distribution business. They run a mental health first aiders course, and I was lucky enough to join that. And I think
Yeah.
that's really helped me as well, have these difficult
Yes.
conversations and support me too.
Come up time and time again, actually, with the people that I've interviewed for this pod, particularly, that mental health and empathy and caring about people actually is a really big part of leadership, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, yeah. And yeah, I would highly recommend that course definitely to anyone as well.
Yeah. Going off topic a little bit, you really have worked across sectors, haven't you? Have
Yeah,
you
yeah, absolutely.
you haven't shied away from that. You haven't had a career in just finance or just retail or just, kind of betting. Has that caused nervousness?
Yeah, it has. But I actually remember someone saying to me, who was a very influential manager I had at Amazon, actually. And I mean, I remember always saying, well, all these skills are transferable. You've got your design principles and behaviors, and you're just applying them to a different business, really. And I felt that was great advice. And I think I've always taken that with me to wherever I've gone,
Mm.
really, as well. I mean, there's still the fundamental need to learn about that industry and really understand what they're doing, their business model, etc. as well. But I think for me, that's been the fun of it as well. It's something
Yeah.
new and it's something different.
Well, I think it's really inspiring, especially now where we're talking about learning being really key part of everybody's role. And I'm glad you've said that because I think in this marketplace, particularly where there is a perception that there's lots of good talent around, it can be quite tempting for people that are hiring to go, no, I need the finance experience or I need the domain experience. But actually, you're a really good case study for if somebody is willing to learn and can apply those good design principles to a different sector and they're willing to learn, that can work really, really well.
Yeah, no, I think it can, I think it's just give those people the chance. And I think it's really good because you will quite rather than get the same trickle of people that have always done finance, as you say,
Mm.
you bring in a new perspective and a new energy to it
Yeah.
as well.
And that diversity of thought is increasingly really, kind of recognized as being something really important on a team. Great. So, shall we talk about your smackdown, your provocation,
Yeah, let's
and
go
why
for
it's
it.
so relevant for today in these times as well as
Absolutely.
scene setting?
Yeah, well, I thought about this one long and hard, B. And although it's maybe a bit of something we've discussed a lot in the design world, I wanted to raise this one still because I think it's something we still really need to address. And so my smackdown is about design isn't doing enough to show its value to business. And that's because design still isn't translating the value into business value and business language. I think too often we talk too much about the craft, the aesthetics, and the empathy, while our
Mm.
leadership is focused on growth, risk, speed, and results more. So, we so much showcase beautiful work, but we're not always making the right decisions to influence
Mm.
that, really.
I'll ask you a question about that. Do you think that's because designers, creatives, often it's also their hobby, it's also their passion, right? And so they sort of have to not park the passion bit, they have to remember why they are in a business, what they're there to deliver, and what the business goals are, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's really key. And I think that goes back to sort of the craft side of it, that, we want to create things. We want, be it digital or physical, it's about that creation process. So,
Mm.
you obviously get embedded in it and you get involved with it. I think far more than say you're writing a report. I mean, I'm sure some people might contradict that, but it
Mm.
just sees you've got you because you've got this artifact at the end of the day. I think that's why we get very attached to it, and really invested in what we do as well.
Yeah, that definitely resonates me from interviewing so many design people across my career myself. They're the people that come in with beautifully crafted portfolios and want to talk you through the process. And often as a recruiter or consultant, my role is to go, okay, what was the objective and how did you move the dial? And reminding them that that's what you're in a job to do.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's talking about those outcomes, not just
Yes.
presenting the work, as such. It's what's the outcome of this, and maybe talking about, the trade-offs you had to make to do that. But ultimately, what were those commercial outcomes that design helped
Mm.
drive as well?
So, across that life cycle of a project or from the inception of a project, what advice and takeaways can you give to people, particularly in leadership, but across the board in design? How do you talk to those people about how they can work better or do better things to have a commercial impact in a business?
Well, I think it's about that translation, of translating design language into business language as well. So for me, I think that means we need to be more accountable about bringing our teams on that journey with us. So I
Yeah.
think that's really about educating designers, so understanding the business model, so for instance, at the role I'm in currently at PokerStars, really understanding that model of how it makes money is really important.
Mm,
And
yes.
also, so often some of the like damn obvious basics, such as reading the annual report, referencing reports in your presentation back, say from the likes of McKinsey, etc., and that to show that you've got that understanding. So it's not just about behaviours, that we talk a lot about our users' behaviours, but actual the financial metrics to show that we understand that value as well, very much.
Information is so much more available than it was back in the days of Yellow Pages.
Oh yes, exactly.
So it's much easier to do that now. And I do think that one of the changes we have seen through AI is that everybody is required to be more accountable for that stuff.
Yeah.
We've all got to be, kind of understanding the direction of travel for the business and what good looks like and what you're looking to achieve, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if design wants to be treated as a business partner, you've got to behave like one, you know,
Mm,
very much. And it's about owning those outcomes, not just presenting, a great experience.
yes.
So, I think it's really about, you used that term earlier, getting out of your comfort zone. And I think more now than ever as design leaders and designers, we need to do that. You need to get out of your design or get out of your space, where you're very comfortable being, and stand with other leaders who can be quite dominant, personalities. I've met more than a few who, are quite foreboding, but you've got to, build those relationships with them
Mm,
and show that you understand. So
yes.
push yourself forward to be in those roadmap meetings, at the start of things so that you clearly understand what the objectives are.
I imagine you've had plenty of experience of that because you've worked for what I would describe as some quite robust businesses, Daily Mail, PokerStars,
Yeah.
to name a few. Amazon. Those are not snowflake businesses. They're very clear about what the commercial outcomes for them need to look like. That's great. One of my questions, a little bit of a sidetrack actually, is do you think that gets taught enough? Because I see that beautiful portfolio presented to me, at early stages in people's careers, much more. And then as people get more experienced, then they understand that actually it's not just about the aesthetic, but it's very much about the impact on the bottom line, I suppose, in the end. Do you think that academia need to have more of a lens on that practitioners, stuff? I mean, I don't think anybody could have predicted you were going to go from fine art and sculpture into where you are in your amazing
Exactly.
career.
Yeah, thank you, V. And I think it's getting better. I mean, I actually had an opportunity to input And I think Future Heads did as well.
Yeah, we did loads of stuff actually with a few colleges, like a few of the big colleges in London, certainly. And
Yeah,
it's
one.
still something we feel really passionate about because otherwise, particularly now, we're at a point, aren't we? Going off topic slightly where actually, graduates and juniors are finding it really hard to join the job market because AI has taken away some of those junior roles. I think remote working has not been it's harder to train people remotely, and so that's definitely a factor. And with the economy having been quite tough a couple of years ago, certainly people were looking at people that could come in and do the job. And then also, the real victims of COVID were also the same group of people. But one of my fears is still when people talk about the work they do with academia, it feels like it's a kind of philanthropic exercise, when actually, if we really care about our industry and we want a sustained workforce, I think we're going to have to lean into that as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's getting better. One, because I've really had first-hand experience from not only inputting on the course that Brunel run, their digital design course, but also my daughter actually joined that course. I've input on it many years before, she was even thinking of a career in that space. So seeing the projects she's had and going to their sort of annual shows and stuff, I think there's much more emphasis on delivering quicker. I think years ago, I actually worked with Brunel on a research project when I was at Free, and they said it would be 3 months before I got the report. And I was like, that's no good, so it was ridiculous timelines. I got, and it would be, well, like a Yellow
Well,
Pages
it's
report.
changed in 3 months now, right?
Yeah, exactly. We've all moved on. So I think, they do work on faster projects now to deliver quicker and have to show results quicker. So I think that's beneficial. How tough their design crits are, I don't know, but I think, it really needs to be a combination of teaching those students, not just the digital, skills in a Figma, etc., or whatever software package it is at the time, but also it's about how you present your work. And I think in the age of AI, that's going to become even more important. It's still you going to be presenting work back, however, by whatever means it's been produced, basically, as well.
It must be a very proud moment for you to know that your daughter is following in your footsteps.
Gosh, yeah, I was really chuffed when I saw her graduation, and I must say she graduated with a first as well, which made us
Congratulations.
all very proud. So yeah, you realise all those years of work and
Oh, yeah.
input had value. I'm sure as you're seeing be with your daughter too.
Well, I'm in the weeds at the moment, but let's see what direction she goes in. But
It's
yeah,
early days, early days.
yeah. So do you have a story of your proudest moment in leadership?
Yeah, well, I do. And I think I've talked a lot about, I've emphasized about the results of business. And I've been, really fortunate to drive some great projects, have created great revenue decisions, for companies as well. But at the end of the day, I think what's stood out in leadership for me, it's always come about people development. And that's seeing over the years individuals that I've hired growing their confidence, stretch their capabilities, and themselves step into leadership roles of their own and do incredible things. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
very
got
motivating.
yeah, it is. It's brilliant, brilliant, B. And I think at the end of the day, you're leaving a legacy behind in that respect as well. So some examples I've got to name a few. Going back to those Yale.com days, there's Jason Massoud, who I know
Yeah,
you've had on one of these as well, who's a great design leader and now doing
yes.
wonderful stuff in the coaching field. There's Warren Hutchison, founder of the experience agency L. So again,
Yeah.
doing amazing stuff, really at the forefront of AI at the moment as well. Amazon, I was fortunate to hire Martina Hodges Shell, who's
Oh,
a
well, yeah.
great design consultant and
Good
author.
name drops, Julie.
I know I can name drop them all as well, So, and yeah, and William Barakoff to name another one of Betfair, who's doing very well in the industry
Mm.
now, heading up big teams. So, it's really rewarding to see these people go on and succeed, and meet their potential and have impact, and for
Yeah.
them, to be doing the same for others as well. And that sort of side of it makes leadership most meaningful, really. I feel.
Mm. Brilliant. Well, I've loved hearing about your journey and your stories. It's been really, really nice to talk to you.
Oh, well,
Thank
it's
you
been
for
a
joining
pleasure.
the pod. Yeah, I'm really excited to share this with our audience. So I want to say
Excellent.
thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity, Bea. As always, I love our chats and really value them. So,
Oh,
so we'll be talking soon again, I'm sure. So thank you
yeah,
very much.
I hope so. It's just bye for now.
Excellent. Thank you. Bye bye.